Hi, I'm Vedaxari and this is our YouTube channel VedaVerse. I have been an entrepreneur, a marketer and a strategist since more than 10 years, and on this YouTube channel, I'm here to share all my learnings and experiences. In today's topic, we are going to talk about mindful tasking versus multitasking. When I joined the workforce in the early 2000s, multitasking was a buzzword. I had it on my resume and so did everyone. We are going to decode this concept of what is multitasking first before we move forward, and while we are at it, we will then discuss what is mindful tasking. And then it's up to you which version do you want to go ahead with, whether you are still going to be the multitasker, or we call it task switcher, or you will be a mindful tasker, like what we encourage our team members to now be. Pre-pandemic, we did have screens, but only during the pandemic, the realization hit us that how much of our cognitive ability gets blocked with screens. Basically, think of your brain as a computer. Now think about what happens to your computer when you have multiple windows open at once, a lot of data saved on your C drive and your desktop, and you refuse to clear it. Your computer hangs. The same thing happens with your brain. Lethargy, brain fog and exhaustion. You start to feel overwhelmed. So let's get into what is multitasking, and let me give you an instance. You're on your lunch break, you're enjoying your favorite lunch, you're also catching up on your Netflix episode, and you're also mindlessly scrolling on your phone. Suddenly, a colleague of yours walks in and asks you, "What are you having for lunch today?" You look up and for a minute you realize you're blank. You don't know what you're eating for your lunch. And then you come back to reality, look into your plate, and then just update your colleague whatever you're eating at that moment. Tell me, does this sound familiar to you, and has this ever happened to you? Now, technically, none of these three tasks that you were doing were related to your work, but you were still doing three tasks. All these three tasks are individually supposed to bring joy in your life and make you happy. You're nourishing your body, you're entertaining yourself by catching up on your Netflix show, and you're also checking on your friends and catching up. But you're not able to enjoy or relish any of these three tasks. So what you're basically doing is causing a mental overload. This term that we know as multitasking is actually called task switching. Earl, a neuroscientist at MIT, explains what task switching is. When people think they are multitasking, they are actually just switching from one task to another very rapidly. And every time they do, there's a cognitive cost in doing so.
Well, the biggest misconception is people think they have a much larger capacity for simultaneous thought than they actually do. They think they're much better at multitasking than they are. Because of this brain's bottleneck, because of this inability to think about multiple things simultaneously, you're sort of sipping at the outside world through a straw.
You humanly cannot do more than one task at a time. It slows you down, consumes more energy and time, and you end up feeling burnt out. So a lot of you will ask me, if not multitask, then what? For a lot of us, multitasking is the only way of feeling productive. However, what if I tell you that there is another way, a different way of also doing your tasks and feeling less overwhelmed, and maybe you will also enjoy the work or the task that you are doing in the process. Let's get into mindful tasking. So one of the first steps to become a mindful tasker is letting go and accepting. So let go of the fact that everything has to be done right now and today, and accept the fact that you have only 24 hours in a day. So how do you do this? One of the things that I do is I look at my schedule as 7 days in a week instead of 24 hours a day. And that somehow relieves a lot of pressure from me, and it helps me stay a little more calmer, a little more organized, and I'm able to enjoy each task of my week with the same joy. When it comes to your task list, there is not only work or there is not only chores that you have to finish, but sometimes there are personal responsibilities, priorities, family time, etc., that you also want to cover in your task list or in your 7 days in a week. So dividing your priorities based on your work, based on your personal life, based on your me time, and then assigning or slotting it or time blocking is a more effective and a helpful way of getting started with mindful tasking. Second step is plan and prioritize. Make a task list of whatever you have to do and then segregate them as per the urgency level and their importance. Every deadline oriented task may be urgent but not important, and not every task which is not deadline oriented is unimportant. So knowing that what is important and urgent and what is important and maybe not urgent is going to help you a great deal to prioritize what do you want to do first. And trust me, a lot of times one of the most important tasks of your day is also the most urgent task of the day. And once you're done with that task, which takes maybe 10 or 15 minutes compared to a lot of other tasks which are bigger and more time consuming, you will realize that 50 to 70% of your mental load is already out. So step number 3 is shut it. In a normal day of an entrepreneur, there are multiple tasks including pitching, answering calls, maybe briefing teams, some HR admin responsibilities, etc., etc. The list goes on. Now, how do you tackle this and how do you plan and structure your day so that you can get by, not just finish your task list, but also enjoy each and every task while you are doing it? Take my day for example. What do? I start my day 1 hour before my team, so that by the time they come to office, I have already prepared myself for them and their task list, their agendas for the day. The moment they come in, I already have a list of priorities for them created. We get into a team meeting quickly, and once they start their day, I then get to my clients who also are very receptive in the morning and they want statuses and updates of whatever is happening. We share the statuses with them, we do our regular follow-ups, and then once by the time all these things are done, we have already reached the lunch hour. After lunch, then I take 3 to 4 hours of proper dedicated time where I go fully offline and I focus on creative tasks like designing, editing, any presentations that need to be created, and so on. Then again from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, I try to go back to my team, I try to go back to my clients, I follow up on whatever was pending from the morning, and then by the time it is 6:37, we've already wrapped our day and we usually have very productive days. So this method basically is called time blocking. It helps you avoid distractions, stay more productive and get things faster. Now the best thing about this method also is that you are usually doing one thing at a time. So if you're talking to someone, you're giving your 100%. If you are writing something, you are immersing yourself in it 100%. If you are briefing someone, you're giving your 100% and you're not feeling pulled in all different directions or overwhelmed. So step number 4 is take a break, reset. I learned it the hard way and I hope you don't. One of the most important things to be productive and to be successful in whatever you're doing is taking breaks, whether it's during your day, whether it's in a week, whether you're taking it in a month's time. However, I personally believe that in your day you should have breaks or me time slotted for yourself. Now, what do you do in those breaks? We usually take a break and we go out with a cup of chai and we are still on our phone, we are still doom scrolling and we think that we took a break. But we only shifted our attention from one window to another, and we don't give our eyes, our brain, our mental RAM any rest or any breather in that process. So according to me, if you want to slot a break, the best way to do it is specifically take a break from screens. And the last step is the monk mode. Monk mode simply means a state of deep thinking and laser focus. There's a lot of content already available on this topic, so I will not get deep into it. However, if you want me to do a video on it, please write it in the comments. This is Vedaxari and this is the VedaVerse. Like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to press that bell icon to get the updates on our latest episodes.